Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So recently I have been seeing a lot of comments expressing their opinions as to why the industry is in the state that it's in. And by far the most common opinion is the fact that there are these illegal drivers in the United States. So let's address this because there is this one big thing that has been happening for years now, not just recently, and it has a huge effect on US trucking jobs as well as freight rates. And of course, we're talking about the misuse of the B-1 visa workers. So let's chat about it. Ready? Let's go. It's no secret that the trucking industry is filled with people who are bending the rules or breaking them all together. And as the environment gets more challenging, the rule breaking increases. So what's the problem right now? Well, let's go back to what FreightWaves reported back in March of 2021. And I quote, "Trucking companies in the United States and Mexico are violating cabotage rules by misusing Mexican B-1 visa drivers to deliver loads from point to point within the US." So what are cabotage rules? Well, according to the US Customs and Border Protection, cabotage rules prevent foreign nationals in the US on B-1 business visitor visas from competing with US truckers on loads moving point to point in the US. The regulations are meant to protect driver jobs in the US trucking industry. Now, FreightWaves said, what is happening here is you have a trucking company with a driver and trailer loading in Guadalajara, Mexico. The load goes to a drop yard in Nuevo Laredo, Mexico, for example. A Mexico-based driver with a B-1 visa picks up the load in Nuevo Laredo. The B-1 driver then takes that load across the border to Laredo, Texas. Now, that's completely legal. The driver can either deadhead back to Mexico or take another load as they are headed directly back to Nuevo Laredo, Mexico. Now, unfortunately, that is not what is happening. Instead of deadheading back to Mexico or even taking a load that takes them back to Nuevo Laredo, for example, what's happening is B-1 visa drivers are being hired by companies to pick up new loads and going further into the US, often taking work for less pay. That is illegal. In essence, B-1 drivers are taking jobs from US truckers. Now again, this whole thing was reported back in 2021 when the market was good and people didn't really pay as much attention to these issues because again, rates were good, we were all in a good place, there was ample volume, basically no issues. But that trend has continued. And this month, FreightWaves reported the misuse of B-1 visa drivers has gotten worse since FreightWaves first wrote about it 3 years ago. Even more trucking companies in the US are employing Mexican B-1 visa drivers to undercut trucking rates in the country while paying Mexico-based drivers less than US truck drivers. Basically, more US companies now figured out that they can open a division in Mexico, get those drivers with B-1 visas, and then use them as drivers to haul within the US. One gentleman who is a trucking company owner said it just depressed rates. Look on the load board. You can just punch in South Carolina to Texas or Georgia to Texas. You're looking at 90 cents to $1 per mile. And these are the guys that are using B-1 visa guys. They price it that way because who else is going to do it at that rate? The B-1 guy goes out to Georgia and back on the cheap, but the carrier that's in Atlanta, for example, doesn't understand why rates are really low going to Texas. This is the reason why, because these trucking companies will take whatever they can to get back here because they have to. It's artificially blowing the rate model for everyone else that maybe doesn't really understand why. Now, to give you some numbers, back in 2022, the average truck driver salary in Mexico was around $4,400 per month, but this was the average. On the low end, it was around $2,400 per month. So of course, it is more beneficial for those folks with B-1 visas to haul here illegally. And for carriers, it's also more beneficial because they would still pay much less to these B-1 visa holders than to someone who is based in the United States. And this, of course, makes it possible for these carriers who are operating illegally to survive on dirt cheap rates. It's kind of an illegal win-win situation that's going on here. So the next logical question is, what is being done about it? Well, unfortunately, nothing significant that I could find. All I found was that this practice has become widespread in Nuevo Laredo about 15 years ago, and it's still present and actually worse than ever today. But perhaps you guys have heard of something. Is anything being done about this situation? Now, this, while it is a huge issue, it's just one of many issues in the trucking industry. See, the thing that is making it very hard to predict which way the market is going is because there are thousands of variables, big and small, that are influencing trucking right now. Big carriers, contract rates, shippers, illegal activities, fraud, oversupply of trucks, oversupply of brokers, the economy, interest rates, inflation, and so on and so forth. So anytime we find one reason for why the market is so bad, we have to remember that this is not the only reason. It's just something that is adding to an already tough situation. Anyway, guys, happy Monday. Thank you so much for joining me today and watching this video. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead, stress-free, hopefully. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep learning. And I will see you in the next video.